Welcome back to 242 Math. I am your host Raphael Thompson, and today we'll be looking at transformations again. We have done reflections, so now we will be doing rotations. This is a very difficult topic, but today I will tackle it for you and break it down to basics for you to understand. Here we go. Here's the definition. A rotation is a turn about a center of rotation using degrees and going in a certain direction, either clockwise or counterclockwise or anti-clockwise. Okay, you don't need to memorize this. As we work the questions, you would get to understand this definition. But in describing a rotation, you have to put in center rotation and clockwise or counterclockwise about a point. Okay, here we go. The first thing you're looking at is a rotation of the circle 90 degrees clockwise about the origin would place it in the yellow quadrant. So we have two quadrants. We have the two upper quadrants we're dealing with first. And if you were to rotate that circle clockwise, it would be going in the adjacent quadrant where you have the yellow. It'll be someplace in the yellow. Okay, don't worry about where you're going to put it. You worry about where it would go first. And that's what we're doing. A rotation of the circle, now look at this one, a rotation of the circle 90 degrees counterclockwise or anti-clockwise about the origin would place it in the gray quadrant. So a 90-degree turn counterclockwise would put it in the adjacent quadrant to the left. So this time you're going left instead of going right like you did before. So you need to know whether you go left or whether you go right. Okay, and here you have another one. It says rotate the circle 90 degrees clockwise about the origin. And we have the definition again to ensure you know what it is. A rotation is a turn about a center of rotation with using degrees and going in a certain direction, either clockwise or counterclockwise. So we need to rotate that circle 90 degrees. Where would we be going? We'd be going to the right. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to understand. Clockwise means for the upper two quadrants, you're going to the right. And there you see I have an arrow in showing you would have to place the image someplace to the right once you're going clockwise and you're going 90 degrees about the origin, so it would be in the adjacent quadrant, the quadrant to the right of that blue circle. Okay, we understand that. Now we need to know where to place it. Okay, so what you do is you go to 0 because the center of rotation is 0. Draw a line to -2 and take it up to where the blue circle is. So you're attaching the circle to that line somewhat. So you had to go across 1, 2, and then go up 1. So we're going to move the lines up along the y-axis now, and then count 2 up along the y and 1 across, and that's where that circle would end up. So we will be doing that in a moment. Here we go. There you have it. We moved the lines and now we went up 2 on the y-axis. That's a rotation of 90 degrees clockwise, 2 up on the y, and then we had to go 1 across to get to the coordinates 1, 2. So that's where the image of that blue circle would end up if you had to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise about the origin or about the point 0. Okay, let's do another one. Rotate the circle 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin. So now we would have to move that blue circle at 2, 1. We have to move it across in the quadrant to the left. Why? Because it says counterclockwise 90 degrees and it's about the origin. So we're moving it to the left. First thing you got to realize where it's going. Now we have to see how to get it there. Again, go to the center of rotation, which is the origin. Draw a line across 1, 2, and up 1 to attach it to that blue circle. And now we have to move the lines 90 degrees going to the left because it's counterclockwise about the origin. So we'd have to stand it up on the y-axis. Okay, so let's see where that would end up. And there you have it. We stood the line up 90 degrees going to the left. You had to go up 2 and go across 1. And you would end up at the point -1, 2. That would be the new coordinates for the image that you would get if you had to rotate that circle 90 degrees anti-clockwise about the origin. Okay, so we're only moving a circle, which is simple. Later on, you'd have to move a triangle, which is a bit harder. Okay, let's deal with the circle again. Rotate the circle 90 degrees clockwise about the point 0, 1. Now we are rotating it about a point, not the origin. The origin was 0, 0, but we are at 0, 1 now. So first you have to find that point 0, 1. Let's put a circle on it. Let's identify that point first, so we would be able to do the rotation afterwards. So once you find that point, yes, I put a circle around the point 0, 1. It's on the y-axis. And we will be moving that circle to the right because we are rotating it clockwise. So we will move it in the direction of the arrow. Now we know where it's going. We need to see how to get it there. Attach the lines the same way we did from the center of rotation at the origin. You go to the center of rotation at 0, 1 and draw your lines. There you have it. So you draw a line from 0, 1 across 1, 2, 3 and up 1. So we've attached it to the circle, the blue circle, and now we have to move it 90 degrees clockwise. So we're going to move those lines. We're going to stand it up on the y-axis. That's moving it 90 degrees, and then see where that blue circle ends up. Okay, so you have to move it about the point 0, 1, 90 degrees clockwise. And that's what we're doing. There you have it. We have moved it clockwise 90 degrees up along the y-axis. Count up 1, 2, 3, go across 1. And that's where the blue circle would end up at the coordinates 1, 4. Okay, so that's how you would move it. We know where it was going, and we attached the lines and moved it 90 degrees clockwise, and that's where it would end up. Okay, let's go on. Rotate the circle 180 degrees about the origin. Now we have 4 quadrants. A 180 degree rotation about the origin will place the circle in the yellow quadrant. So now we have done with the 90s. Now we're dealing with 180 degree turn. Now you don't have to say clockwise or counterclockwise for 180 degrees because it would end up in the same place. If you go to the left, I'll go to the right. And there you see, if you're rotating it, that's where that blue circle would end up in the yellow quadrant. And like I said before, we don't have to say clockwise or anti-clockwise or counterclockwise for a half turn or rotation of 180 degrees. You end up in the same place. Okay, so once we know where we would end up, where we are going, we need to see how to get there. Now you're not rotating it 90. Now remember, you're rotating it 180. So do the same thing. Go to the center of rotation 0 and draw a line across from it to -3. 1, 2, 3 steps. 3 lines down and one down. Attach it. There you have it. Now you're not rotating that 90. You're rotating that 180. So you're going to place that line along the x-axis. On the other side along the x-axis, that's a 180 degree turn. Remember, a line is 180 degrees. So you have to put it straight across. There you have it. We place that line across on the x-axis. That's 180 degrees. And there you see the blue circle would end up at the coordinates 3, 1. Okay, so all you have to do is count. So you have to count 3 across, 1 down. So you go count 1, 2, 3 across, 1 up. And that's where the image would end up at. That's a rotation of 180 degrees about the origin. The new coordinates 3, 1. Okay, let's look at another one now. Now let's look at this before we go on. If you're going from green to yellow, then dealing with the quadrants, that would be clockwise. If you're going from yellow to gray, that's also clockwise. If you're going from gray to blue, that's clockwise. If you're going from blue to green, that's clockwise. So all of those would be going like the hands of a clock would move around. That's what that just did showed you. You're going in a clockwise direction, so you're going all right. You're going right. Keep going right. Now, if you switch it around, if you're going from yellow to green, now yellow to green, that's counterclockwise. Green to blue is counterclockwise. Blue to gray is counterclockwise. And gray to yellow is counterclockwise. So now we are moving left, and you keep moving left, and then you'll be going counterclockwise. Okay, now still dealing with the circle. Rotate the circle 90 degrees clockwise about the point 0, -1. Okay, now so you have to first of all know where you're going. If you're rotating it clockwise and you're down at the bottom two quadrants, rotating it clockwise, you will move it in the quadrant to the left. You're going to move it to the left because you're going clockwise. So right away, that's the first thing you need to realize, where you are going. Now, how to end up there? Go to the center, go to the point, the center of rotation, which is 0, -1, and let's attach the lines to the blue circle. So from that point, center rotation 0, -1, go across 1, 2, and go down 1. You have your circle. Now you're gonna stand that up on the y-axis, going left to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise. So let's see if you can do that. There you have it. You've rotated it 90 degrees left, and so you went across 1, 2, down 1. Now you go down 2, 1, 2, and go 1 across, and you end up at the coordinates -1, -3. So that's where you'd get that image if you had to rotate the circle 90 degrees clockwise about the point 0, -1. So you could rotate it about a point or rotate it about the origin. Same thing. Okay, let's do another one now. Now we have to do something different. Describe the rotation that maps circle A onto circle B using the origin as the center of rotation. So we already know the center of rotation is the origin. So we can use that. Now we just have to see how you would describe the rotation that we have there. Okay, so go to the origin and attach your lines. So that's what we did. We went to the origin and we attached the lines to circle A. So we had to go across 1, 2, down 1. And then when you moved it to the, we had to go left or right. We had to go to the right. We had to go to the, we're going left at the bottom. All right, we're going left at the bottom, so we end up where B is at. So that was a rotation of 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin, because we had to go to the left from where we were at the bottom. Okay, now let's look at another one. Describe the rotation that maps circle B onto circle A using the origin as the center of rotation. So again, we're working from the origin. So go to the origin and we are going to attach the lines to B and then see how come we end up at A. Would it be clockwise or counterclockwise? So we have done the lines, attached it to B, and in order to get to A, we had to go to the right. So we're going to the right from the two quadrants at the top. We go to the right, then we're going clockwise. Okay, this is different than the first one where we went counterclockwise. This one is going clockwise. So it's a rotation of 90 degrees clockwise about the origin. That's how you would describe it. And notice we had to use certain terms. Now, describe the rotation that maps flamingo A onto flamingo B using the point -1, 1 as the center of rotation. Now, you have that center of rotation with the orange circle, and so we moved it using that as the center of rotation, and we went from A to B. So attach your lines from the center of rotation to flamingo A. So go across 1, go up 2. Do we move left or right? We had to have moved right to get that rotation, and we even rotated the flamingo. So that one would be a rotation of 90 degrees clockwise, because we're in the top two quadrants and we had to go right. A rotation of 90 degrees clockwise about the point -1, 1. Remember, you say what number of degrees it is, and if it's the turn clockwise or anti-clockwise, counterclockwise, and from the center of rotation. That's how you have to describe it. Okay, here we go now. This is something simple you have to realize before we move on. Number 1, rotate the triangle at 1 clockwise 90. Turn the paper 90 degrees clockwise and you would get the triangle at 2. Okay, rotate the triangle, turn the paper back, rotate the triangle at 2 clockwise 90, and if you do that, then you'd get the triangle at 3. Turn the paper back, rotate the triangle at 3 clockwise 90, and you'd get the triangle at 4. So that shows you how you would get different rotations. Now, rotate the triangle at 1 counterclockwise 90. So turn the paper 90 degrees anti-clockwise. So you turn the paper to the left now. We were turning it to the right, and you'd get a triangle at 4. Okay, turn the paper back, rotate the triangle at 4 counterclockwise, and you'd get the triangle at 3. Turn the paper back, rotate the triangle at 3 counterclockwise, going to the left, and you get a triangle at 2. So once you're able to rotate the paper, you can get what you need. Now we're doing 180. Rotate the triangle at 1, 180. So turn the paper 180 degrees and you get a triangle at 3. Turn the paper back, rotate the triangle at 3, 180, and you'd get a triangle at 1. Turn the paper back, rotate the triangle at 2, 180, and you'd get the triangle at 4. So you can actually turn the paper you're working with to get the rotation you need using a triangle. Now let's practice what we just saw. Number 1, typical question. Draw and label the points A, 1, 1, B, 1, 2, and C, 3, 1 to form a triangle ABC. B, A, rotate triangle ABC 90 degrees clockwise about the origin to form the triangle A1, B1, C1. So first you got to draw your triangle. So plot your points. Okay, do it quickly. There you have it. That's your triangle ABC. 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1 are your points. You join them up to get triangle ABC. Now rotate triangle ABC 90 degrees clockwise and about the origin to form triangle A1, B1, C1. Take the paper and rotate it clockwise 90 degrees. Return the paper to the left 90 degrees. Draw the triangle exactly as you see it. This is how the rotation would look. And you match A to A1, B to B1, C to C1. But turn the paper and do that first. Draw it with ABC as you would see it. That's the first step in order to get this done properly. Okay, so remember now you're rotating the triangle 90 degrees clockwise, so you're going to be moving it to the right if you're rotating it clockwise, so it's going to end up below it. Okay, so now we've attached the lines to it. We went to 0, the center of rotation, and went across 1, up 1. Now you rotated that line, and so put it on the y-axis, down and across, and that's where that triangle would end up. Now that's what you should have gotten when you rotated the paper. Now you got to match the letters, and this is the simple part. Where you have A, then you would have A1 on the other triangle, and then B would be B1, and then C would be C1. Okay, but that's why in the beginning I told you to draw the triangle and put the letters in on it the way you saw it after you turn the paper. So once you turn the paper 90 degrees clockwise, the triangle you got, just draw it, and that's how it should look when you rotate that triangle. And there you have it. I would put the letters in on it. A gives you A1, B becomes B1, and then C becomes C1. Okay, so make sure you match it up properly. The hypotenuse was BC, so the hypotenuse would be B1, C1. Okay, and the 90-degree angle would be at A, and then in the other one would be at A1. So you have to match it properly in order to get full points for a question like this. So it's fairly simple once you know what you're looking at and how to match it up. Okay, so that was a typical question, examination question you'd get. Let's try another one now. It says draw and label points. We're dealing with the same triangle, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1. Now B, rotate triangle ABC 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin to form the triangle A2, B2, C2. So rotating that same triangle counterclockwise 90 degrees. So where would it be going? We're not going down anymore, not going to the right. Counterclockwise means we're going to the left. So it would be in the upper left quadrant. So we have an idea where it would be. Turn the paper and get your answer and draw the triangle as you see it. Rotate it to the left 90 degrees. Draw that triangle that you get when you rotate it. Turn the paper and actually do that. Draw the triangle, and that's how it would look when you have done the rotation. If not, you did something wrong. So now we have to attach the lines to it. So go to the center rotation, go across 1 and go up 1 to ABC. Then you have to turn that 90 degrees to the left, so it'd be up along the y-axis, up 1, across 1, and that's where you would have A. Okay, so now you have to know how it would look in order to draw it properly. So if all you have to do, once you know where the center of rotation is and you've done the turn, just count. So we went up 1, across 1 to get A, and to get B, you would have to go 1, 2. because we went up 2 on the other side, so you have to go across 2. 1, 2, and that would give you B. And then you can do the same for C to see how we got to C. You can just count the lines and then match it up. But there you have it. There you have the rotation of ABC 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin, and you just match A to A2, B to B2, and C to C2. And that would be the end of that question. And the triangle should end up the same way you had it when you moved the paper 90 degrees to the left. And the letters should be in the same locations. You just added a 2 to the letters, and that's all you do. Okay, so that gives you a good practice in triangles rotating 90 degrees. Now let's move on. We're dealing with the same triangle, and we have C now. Rotate triangle ABC 180 degrees about the origin to form the triangle A3, B3, C3. So we're done with the 90s. Where would we end up? Okay. Now remember, if it's 90, it would be next. It would be one of the adjacent quadrants. Okay. So now it's 180, so it would be the opposite quadrant. Okay. So that's where it would end up, in the opposite quadrant. So you have to realize that first. Turn the paper 180 degrees and draw the triangle the way you see it with the letters attached, and that's how it must look when you rotate it. So make sure you turn it 180 now, not 90. So turn it once and turn it twice to get 180 and draw it. Attach the lines to it. Go to the center of rotation, 0, and you go across 1, up 1 to get to A, and then you have to move that line 180, so it goes across 1 and down 1, and that's where you draw A. That's where A would end up, and then B would end up going down 2, and then C would end up, you had to go across 1, 2, 3, up 1, 1, 2, 3, down 1, and you would have C. So that's the image you would get when you rotated 180 degrees about the origin. Now just match the letters. Okay, so if you turn the paper 180 at the beginning, it doesn't matter if you go left with it or right with it. Once you turn it 180, then match up the letters. So A, you match A to A3, B to B3, and C to C3. And that would give you the image when you rotated triangle ABC 180 degrees about the origin. Okay, that's the diagram, that's the triangle you would get. Remember, when you turn the paper 180, the triangle you get there must match it. It must be the same triangle, and all you do is attach 3 to your letters ABC, and that would be it. That would be the image that you need. Okay, but practice turning the paper first to make sure the image you get is the correct one. Okay, let's move on. Another question now, it says draw and label points A, -1, 2, B, -1, 3, and C, -3, 2 to form triangle ABC. We've already done that. So that's triangle ABC with the points we just mentioned. A, rotate triangle ABC counterclockwise 90 degrees about the point 0, 1 to form the triangle A1, B1, C1. Now we're not using the origin, we're using a point. The point is 0, 1. So first you have to find that point and then use it, attach the lines to the triangle and move it the same way we did with the origin as the center of rotation. So find the point 0, 1, and let's see if we can move it. Now remember, if you're going counterclockwise, we will be going not right, we're going left. So it has to be down, be in the quadrant below it. Okay, so there you have the center of rotation in blue, that's 0, 1, center rotation, and we have attached the lines to the triangle. So we had to go across 1, up 1 to get to A. So we have to move those lines going left. So we're going to put it along the y-axis, stand it up along the y-axis, and see where we end up with that triangle. Remember, we're going 90 degrees counterclockwise about the point 0, 1 now. So it's 1 across, 1 up, So when you swing it on the y-axis, it's going to be one down, and one across. Okay, so you move it 90 degrees, and you could have turned the paper at the beginning 90 degrees counterclockwise, draw the triangle like you would get it, like you see it when you turn it 90 degrees counterclockwise, and then it has to match up to what you have here. So now all you have to do is place the letters in on it, and then that would be it for this question. Okay, so match A becomes A1, and then B to B1, C to C1, and that would complete the question. But once you turn the paper at the beginning, turn the paper 90 degrees counterclockwise, turn it to the left, you're going left with it, that should be the triangle you would have gotten, and put the letters on it, ABC, the same way you see it when you turn it on the paper, and it should end up the same way you see it here now, and you have A1, B1, C1 in on it to show you that's the rotational triangle ABC counterclockwise 90 degrees about the point 0, 1. So you don't have to use the origin to rotate. You could use any point or any coordinates to rotate a triangle or a shape. Okay, and that would be the end result of that one. Remember, it's important for you to turn the paper to see how the triangle would look, to make sure you end up with the same image when you do the rotation. Okay, now let's move on. A rotation of 90 degrees counterclockwise maps triangle ABC onto triangle A1, B1, C1. Find the center of rotation. Now this is the hard part of it, where you have to find the center of rotation, because usually you can just look at it, eyeball it, and see where it is, because you know it's gonna center the triangles somewhere in between somewhere, so you have to find where it is. Usually you can start at the origin and see if it is at the origin. So you go to 0 and attach a line, one across, one up to it, and then if you bring it down 1, so it won't in this case it won't be the origin, because if you attach the lines to it, you see it doesn't work. Now there's another way you can do it. You can draw a line from any match A to A1, draw a line, and then match B to B1, draw a line, and then find the perpendicular bisectors of each line, and where they intersect, that would be the answer. So you can, like at the beginning, you can eyeball it and do trial and error, which I like to do, is easier. But if you are not sure about eyeballing it or getting it just by looking, join A to A1 and then draw the perpendicular bisector of that line. So that green line is A to A1, and the halfway mark was the line y is equal to -1. So we had to draw that line in. The red line shows you the perpendicular bisector of A to A1, the line A to A1. That's one part done. Now just use one more. So join B to B1 or C to C1. You don't have to do 3. Just do 2 when you're okay. So now we're going to join B to B1 and then draw the perpendicular bisector of that line. So that's the purple line, B to B1, and then we find the halfway mark and draw the perpendicular bisector in, draw it straight through, and where the two perpendicular bisectors meet is the center of rotation. And there you see the center of rotation at a certain point, and we have to put that in. But the first part was you have to do the perpendicular bisector for two sides, any two sides of the triangle, and the two sides must match up. So we did A1 to A to A1, and then we did B to B1, and we did the perpendicular bisectors. And there you have your answer. The center of rotation, where those two perpendicular bisectors cross, is at -1, -1. So that would be the answer, -1, -1, where the two orange or red lines cross for the perpendicular bisectors. That would be the answer for the center of rotation. Remember, you need the center of rotation in order to describe a rotation properly, or to describe it fully. You must put in all of the parts to describe it. So in this case, we worked it out. You could have just looked at it and tried to figure out where it was. If not, and just attach lines to it and see if it ends up where it's at. If not, do the perpendicular bisectors. Here we go again. Okay, give the full description of the rotation that maps triangle A onto triangle B. Okay, so first it goes from the top right to the top left quadrant, so it must be counterclockwise. Next, it is in the adjacent quadrant to the left, so it is a rotation of 90 degrees. So right away we know it's 90 degrees counterclockwise if you're moving from A to B. Now we have to find the center of rotation. So again, like we said, always start with the origin, 0. Go to 0, attach your lines to A, and see if you move those lines if you'll end up at B. So let's do that. We went to 0, we went 1 across and 2 up. If we move those lines 90 degrees to the left, going clockwise, it will be 1 up and 2 across. Yes, that's it. So we moved the lines and we ended up at B. And that would be all. You turn the paper. If you turn the paper that way, then you'd see that's where you would end up. And so it's a rotation of 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin. The center of rotation was the origin. Once you find that, just write it, and that's how you would describe it fully. A rotation of 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin. That describes the rotation of triangle A onto triangle B, where you map A onto B. Okay, next question. Give the full description of the rotation that maps triangle C onto triangle D. And again, first it goes from bottom right to bottom left. So it must be clockwise. Yeah, we're going left. It went from C to D, so we're going to the left, and that's clockwise. That's done. Next, it is in the adjacent quadrant to the left, so it's a rotation of 90 degrees. So it's 90 degrees clockwise. Now, center of rotation. Now let's try to see if we can eyeball this one instead of doing the lines and doing the perpendicular bisectors for two of them. So we'll go to 0, go to the origin, and if you go to C, it would have been 1, 2 across and 1 down. No, it doesn't work. So it can't be the origin. So let's go to, let's use another one in the area. Let's go to 0, 1. So if you go to 1, 0, if you go to 1, 0, not 0, 1, go to 1, 0 and attach a line to C, to the triangle C. So you go 1 across, 1 down. And if you were to turn that 90 degrees going left, it would be 1 down, 1 across. Yes, you would end up at triangle where you have triangle D. So in this case, you could just use trial and error to find out where the center of rotation is. And we see that on our second guess, we were able to get it. It's the point 1, 0. Once you attach your lines and you end up where you have it. Now, you want to do it the hard way, then do your lines. So you would join two points on the triangle. So remember, it must be the same 2 points. So if you go to where the 90 degrees is on C, you go to where the 90 degrees is in on D. So that's the 2 in purple. And find the perpendicular bisector of that line, yellow line. That's done. Then you can join any of the other 2. So if you go to the tip of the triangle at C, you go to the tip of the triangle at D, okay, along on the hypotenuse, and you join those the 2 green points. You join them together. They correspond, and then you find the perpendicular bisector of that line. Okay, so we have the 2 yellow lines. And once you see where the 2 yellow lines intersect, that gives you the center of rotation. So again, we ended up with the same answer, but this was the harder way to do it. But it's a sure way to get it. So rotation of 90 degrees clockwise about the point 1, 0 is the answer for the description of the rotation that mapped triangle C onto triangle D. Remember, it was 90 degrees and you had to go to the left, so it's clockwise, and you found the point 1, 0 was the center of rotation. Okay, so I just showed you 2 ways to get it. You can look at it and try to do trial and error, or you can just do your lines, attach lines from one triangle to the next, any 2 points that correspond, and then do the perpendicular bisectors. Okay, and that would be able to give you the definite answer once you do the perpendicular bisectors. because that way you'd always get the correct answer. Eyeballing it or just looking at it, you should be able to do the same thing. Okay, and I'd suggest you do trial and error first. Remember, first you use the origin, and then if the origin doesn't work, look for some other points in the area and see if they work. Just attach the lines to the triangle and move 1 point and see if you end up at the other one, and then that will give you answer right away. Okay, but the perpendicular bisectors is a sure way to get it, and once you're able to do that, then you're okay. Now, here we have an example of a question for the final exam that would show you exactly what you need to be able to work for rotations. Okay, so it says 1. Draw and label the points A, 1, 2, B, 1, 3, and C, 3, 3 to form triangle ABC. 2. Rotate triangle ABC 90 degrees clockwise about the origin to form triangle A1, B1, C1. Draw and label this image. 3. Rotate triangle ABC 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin to form triangle A2, B2, C2. Draw and label this image. Typical examination question, and you have to be able to do this. Okay, so we have 3 things you have to do. So let's see if you can work it. There you have it. We have put in the triangle. We've done number 1, ABC, and the triangle that you just did, you would have to rotate it for 2 90 degrees clockwise. So let's see if you can do that quickly and see where you would end up. 90 degrees clockwise, so you're rotating it and you'll be going to the right. If you're going 90 degrees clockwise, so it's going to be in the quadrant right below. That's where you're going to place it for number 2, where you're rotating it 90 degrees clockwise about the origin. And we're doing it about the origin, so it's straightforward. Okay, let's see if you can get that and see if you get the correct answer for it, see where you would end up. Remember, rotate the paper first and see what you would get, and you would get that same image when you draw it. There you have it. That's the image you would get when you rotate it 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin, and you label it A1, B1, C1. Now that's done. Remember, you have to do 3. Rotate triangle ABC 90 degrees counterclockwise. So let's see if you can get that one done and get that correct. Rotate triangle ABC 90 degrees counterclockwise. So if you go to ABC, you'll be going to the left. So it's in the quadrant, the upper left quadrant, where you'll place it. And see if you can draw it in and see if it matches. Remember, take the paper and turn it 90 degrees counterclockwise, and then draw the image you get, and you must get the same exact image when you do the rotation. Do it quickly. Let's see if you get the right answer. There you have it. That's a rotation of triangle ABC 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin, and you label it A2, B2, C2. Okay, so you've done a complete question. If you got that correct, then you have understood rotations, my friend. So if not, just go back over the video to understand what to do in order to do rotations. And once you're able to move a point, then you should be able to move triangles afterwards. But practice using like a circle first, or one single item, before you move on to triangles and moving triangles. Thank you all for watching this video. Hope you've enjoyed it, and you can subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and God bless you. Until the next one would be translations, okay, which is not as hard as rotations. Okay, but thank you all for watching. God bless you.